Mitzvahs Ksiva Sefer Torah. The Rambam, Hilchos Sefer Torah, in Perek Zayin, he writes, Mitzvahs aseh min ha-Torah. There's a mitzvah in the Torah, al kol ish ve'ish me Yisrael, for every single Jewish man, לכתוב ספר תורה לעצמו, to write a private ספר תורה, שנאמר ועתה כתבו לכם את השירה. You have to write this song, כלומר, כתבו לכם תורה, שיש בו את השירה הזאת. Write the ספר תורה that has parshas האזינו. And Rashi and the Ramban and the Even Ezra in the Posuk, in parshas Vayelech, ועתה כתבו לכם את השירה הזאת, they say parshas האזינו. The Rambam says, וי שאין כותבין את התורה parshas. Since the Torah cannot be written separate parshas, Memelo, you have to write an entire Sefer Torah. That's the Lashon Rambam. So the Torah says you write Ha'azinu. Now, since you may not write Ha'azinu by itself, you have to write an entire Sefer Torah. So actually what we're saying is write entire Sefer Torah. But if you were allowed to write Parshas Ha'azinu by itself, there's no mitzvah from here to write entire Sefer Torah. The Gemara Masechta Gittin Daf Samach Amud Aleph says you're not allowed to write parshas. So from this Gemara we know pshat in the Posuk. If you were allowed to write parshas, I would not know from here where the mitzvah of Ksiva Sefer Torah. The Shittas Arif over there is that you are allowed to write parshas. So the chasam sofer in Tshuva Reish Nun Dalet brings from the Maharit, according to the Rif, how do you know that you are mechuyev to write a Sefer Torah? Maybe you're mechuyev to write just Parshas Ha'azinu. The chasam sofer in that Tshuva ends, Sho'alti zois lachachomim gedoilim ve'en poiser. I asked this question to many great chachomim and nobody had an answer. The chasam sofer asked the same kasha on the Rambam himself, because the Rambam is moed that you are allowed to write tefillin and mezuzos. So who says you cannot write Parshas Ha'azinu? The shaagas aryeh also has the same kasha on the Rif, and he ends off tzorich iyun. In Simen Lamed Dalet, the shaagas aryeh asks that the Rambam himself in Perek Zayin Halacha Yudalet says that you are allowed to write a chumash bifnei atzmo. You are allowed to write Sefer Devorim by itself. So who says you have to write Bereshis, Shmois, Vayikra, Bemidbar? Maybe you have to write only Sefer Devorim itself. In Sefer Me'en HaChochma wants to be metaretz this kasha from the shaagas aryeh that we learn from Melech. A Melech has to write a second Sefer Torah. From here we know there's a mitzvah to write the first Sefer Torah that everyone has to write for himself. The rosh in the beginning of Hilchos Ktanos, Hilchos Sefer Torah, writes, this is Bedoires Horishoinim Shohoyu Koisvin Sefer Torah Veloimdim Bo. They used to write a Sefer Torah to read and learn on it. Aval Hoidno. But today, Shemanichim Oiso Bebeis HaKnesses Likros Boi Berabim, our Sifrei Torah are only used to learn Shabbos and Yom Tov Berabim. There is a mitzvah aseh al kol ish Yisrael asher yodom ha'seges lichtov chumoshe Torah Mishnah Gemara upirush she'en lehagois bohen hu ubonov. Why? Ki mitzvah sa-Torah hi lilmod bo. The whole mitzvah is to write something that you're going to learn in it. Like it says in the Posuk, Velamdo es bnei Yisrael simo bepihem. Val yedei ha-Gemara upirushim jeda perush ha-mitzvah ve'adinim al buryom lochein hem hen asforim de odo mitzuve lekosvam. That is the loshon from the rosh. And the beis yosef and Simen Ein Reish asks Akash on this rosh. Comes out that the rosh pater our generation from writing a Sefer Torah, and he made a new mitzvah to write Gemaras and Shulchan Aruch. How can he change something? The Prisha answers, the Gemara says, the Voren shebe al peh ato rashoim la loisam b'ksaf. You are not allowed to write Torah shebe al peh. And the Gemara in Gittin over there, Rav Samach says, Eis lasos lashem heiferus orasecho. They were matir to write Torah shebe al peh. Now, to write a Sefer Torah, you have to write a full Sefer Torah with all the chaseirus ve'iseirus. And the Gemara says in Masechta Kedushin, Tav Lamed, anan lo bekim bechaseirus ve'iseirus. We're not boking. So there is no mitzvah today to write Sefer Torah. There is a heter to write Torah shebal peh. So bizman hazeh is nishapech de Cairo. The Sefer Torah, los de Mesoira, we have no mitzvah ksiva Sefer Torah. There's a heter to write Torah shebal peh, and it's a mitzvah to be able to learn and know what to do. So bizman hazeh, the Rosh says very simple. The iker mitzvah is to write the halochos nogea to kiyum mitzvahs. So bizman hazeh yitochen that the iker mitzvah is ksivas pirushei Torah. That's what the Torah says. Beato, now, kisvu lochem es hashiru azois, you have to write the Sefer Torah and not the Torah shebal peh. Sima Simo bepihem. The Torah Shebal Peh should be learned by heart. But it's going to be a time that you are allowed to write Torah Shebal Peh. Then I'm going to give you the chiv to write Torah Shebal Peh. Parshas Hazinu is a parsha from Toichocho. And the Torah says, V'ato kisvu lochem es ashiro. This is not a shira, this is a Toichecho. The second Belzeruf, Reb Shile, says if a person is mekayim the mitzvahs of Torah, the Toichecho is a schar. Make sure that this Toichecho should become a shira. Now it's impossible to be mekayim the shira unless you learn Kol HaTorah Kulo. And not only is a mitzvah to write Torah Shebichsav, it's a mitzvah to understand through Torah Shebal Peh. And Bizman Hazeh is even a mitzvah to write Torah Shebal Peh. The Gemara in Eruvin, David Gimel Omed Beis, Tonu Rabbonim, Shtei shonim umechzo, nechleku beshamai ubeis Hillel. Halolu oimrim, noyach lo leodom shelo nivro, vehalolu oimrim, noyach lo shenivro. Nimnu vegomru, toiv shelo nivro. Ve'achshav shenivro, yefashvesh b'maisov, or yemashmesh b'maisov. What was the shaila? In the Gemara Masechta Makkos, Daf Chof Gimel Omed Aleph says in the Mishnah, Dorash Rav Smeloi, Taryag mitzvahs nemre leMoshe miSinai, Shasa lavin, keneged imo sechamod, v'ramach aseh keneged evorav shel odom. The Mishnah in Oholos, Perek Aleph Mishnah Ches, 248 evorim, bones. To remember the siman of 248, we have the mitzvahs aseh, 248. Mashor says over there, but since we have more mitzvahs lois aseh than mitzvahs aseh, it's easier to be oiver than to be mekayim. Now the Gemara says in Masechta Kiddushin, Daf Lamed Tes, Yosef odom velo oso aveiro. If a person sat down and didn't do an aveiro, nechshav lo ki ilu oso mitzvah. When a person thinks he's not going to do the aveiro, that itself is a mitzvah aseh. Comes out we have Taryag mitzvahs aseh. And that was the maskona from Besham beis Hillel. Noyach lo leodom shenivro. But with one tanai, yefashvesh b'masav. Make sure that the mitzvahs lo yisaseh become an aseh. So a person who is mekayim kol HaTorah kulo, it turns the shiras hazinu from a toichecho to a shira, from a oynesh to schar, and shasa lavim to shasa aseh. And that's what the Torah is telling you. Ve'ato kisvo lochem es ashiru hazois. Make the peulos that you'll be able to learn abi mekayim the Torah kulo, at kedei kach that the shiras hazinu turn to a shira. Simo bepihem, even the Torah Shebal Peh is in the mitzvah. Ve'atem adveikim Hashem Elokeichem chaim kulchem hayu.